Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, depending on when you're reading this. But it's morning here in Hong Kong, and I'm here to talk about two movies again this week. But you're not going to see them in the cinema. And the reason is that last week, a friend of mine asked me to recommend a new movie for him and his wife to go see in the cinema this weekend. And I said to him, there's nothing worth seeing. There's the new Robin Hood movie, which is garbage. There's the new Nutcracker and the Four Realms movie. Not as garbagey, but not good. And so I said, you know what? Check out what's on Netflix. Because there's lots of good stuff there that you probably never heard of. I don't know why I'm promoting Netflix. I have no financial interest in it, but that's the truth. So that's why I'm going to talk about one film. The first film I'm going to talk about is on Netflix right now. It's called I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore, with a full stop at the end of anymore. And this film came out last year. It premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2017, so almost 2 years ago now, and it won the Grand Jury Prize. Hey, big deal, you know? And you probably never heard of it, but that's why you come talk to me, or listen to me, as the case may be. So the story is, it's a how do you classify this film? Let's call it a neo-noir story of a lady by the name of Ruth Kimke, played by Melanie Lynskey. You might remember her. She was the neighbor on TV's Two and a Half Men. And she plays a drab, 30-something-year-old nursing assistant who's essentially become invisible to everyone around her. Now, as somebody who's well over 30, I can relate to that. You get to a certain age and you become invisible. So that's where she is. Now, her neighbor uses her front yard as a dumping ground for his dog's doo-doo. People cut in front of her in the supermarket checkout line, and she can't even pick up the nerdiest guy in the bar. And by the way, the nerdiest guy in the bar is played by the film's writer and director, Macon Blair. So after someone breaks into her home, stealing her laptop and her grandmother's silverware, and she gets little sympathy from the police, little sympathy or support from the police, Ruth decides she's had enough of being stepped on, ignored, whatever. And she recruits her nunchaku swinging loner neighbor, Tony, played by Elijah Wood, who was best known for being Frodo in the Lord of the Rings trilogy and The Hobbit. And she asks him to help her recover her belongings. But in their attempt to right some wrongs, Ruth and Tony bite off a little bit more than they can chew. Well, that's what the film's all about. Now, this is written and directed by a fellow by the name of Macon Blair. He's been in a few films. This is his first movie, and it's a kooky blend of genres, and it's sort of in the style of the Coen brothers. The film starts off light and fun, and then it gets very dark towards the end. Now, I would have preferred that the film stayed light and kooky and, throughout, but it didn't. And you know what? It sort of worked. It wasn't my choice. If I was the director or the writer, I wouldn't have gone in that direction. But to this guy's credit, he held it together. For a first film, he held it together. Because when it started getting dark, I just thought, oh, this is going to be bad. And it wasn't. It wasn't the way I would want it to go, but it wasn't bad. So I thought, okay, good for you. You did it. So Lynskey, I think she's wonderful in this film. She plays this kinder, gentler William Foster. If you remember William Foster from the movie Falling Down, Michael Douglas, right? So she is a vigilante like him, but she's a nice vigilante. And really, she tells one of her victims, she doesn't want vengeance. She just wants for people to stop not to be assholes. That's her. Hey, I'm glad I'm not on Radio 3 and Radio 4 anymore, because I wouldn't have been allowed to say that. So that's all she wants. So it's this naivete that lands her and Tony in hot water when they take on the real bad guys. And then it gets, that's where it really is amusing. Now, as for Elijah Wood, he is equally amusing as Ruth's asocial rat. He's got his little rat tail in the back, ninja wannabe neighbor. And like Ruth, Tony also longs to feel important and to feel noticed, and he has his own share of pent-up rage that needs venting. So they're well suited for each other. In fact, I think that you could take these two characters and make a sitcom out of them as amateur vigilantes giving the world's me first jerks the kick in the pants that they sorely deserve. So I think you can easily take these two characters and make a sitcom. If it happens, remember you heard it here first. So I like this film. Not a great film, good film, first film, really good. If you put it on a scale, first film, really good first film. It's enjoyable. As I said, it gets a little bit too dark at the end for my taste, but it's okay. And it's available right now on Netflix. So why go see a crappy film when you can see a good film from the comfort of your living room? So that's called I Don't Feel at Home in the World Anymore, with a full stop at the end. So that's the first film I want to talk about today. Second film is also it's not in the cinemas here in Hong Kong, although friends of mine around the world, in the States, UK, they've seen it in the cinema. But it's not here, and it's not going to come here. I don't think it's going to come here. And that's called BlacKkKlansman. Black with a KKK Klansman. And this is Spike Lee's latest film. And if you don't already know how Spike Lee feels about Donald Trump and the current state of race relations in the United States, then you don't need to look any further than this film, because he doesn't pull any punches here. He tells you exactly what he thinks of Donald Trump. Unfortunately, to the film's detriment. So, this I want to say. I think he was very heavy-handed here, and it's a shame, because this is a really good story, and it's a true story. It's based on, of course, it's been fictionalized for the movie, poetic license, so to speak. But at the essence, this is a true story, and I don't think he needed to go so blatantly to take Donald Trump and go. Although, personally, I think. A lot of good stuff happening in the news today. So, BlacKkKlansman tells the true story of rookie detective Ron Stallworth, played by John David Washington. And you're saying, who's John David Washington? It's Denzel's son, Denzel Washington's son. Who, now, Ron Stallworth was, in 1972, he became the first African American in Colorado Springs, Colorado, not in the town, on their police force. That didn't come out right. He became the first African American on the Colorado Springs, Colorado police force. And this is a time, 1972, when racism, maybe I shouldn't say 1972, this is a time when racism is both the norm, both outside the police department and in. And it's a time when young African Americans are starting to assert their constitutional rights as equal citizens of the United States, with people like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, who later changed his name to Kwame Ture. And Kwame Ture, not the real Kwame Ture, Kwame Ture is in this movie. And others, they're leading the movement for change. Now, actually, they're movements because Martin Luther King was a pacifist, and Malcolm X and Stokely Carmichael were not. So they had different visions on how that change would occur. So now, as for Stallworth, Ron Stallworth, he isn't content just being the poster child for institutional integration. He wants to make a difference. And with the help of his colleague, Flip Zimmerman, played by Adam Driver, who's in everything these days, he infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan. Amazing. Black tie, amazing. Just as the white supremacist organization is moving towards the mainstream. Now, if I say he infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan, don't get images of Eddie Murphy in whiteface. He didn't do that. You have to watch the movie to find out how he did it. It's genius. The film is billed as a crime comedy, but I don't, of course, there were things that were funny, but it's generally not a funny, first of all, it's not a funny subject. And there's very little to laugh at because the parallels between then and now are blatantly obvious. And I think this is the point that one of the points that Spike Lee is trying to make, that not much has changed. I mean, things have changed, obviously. Things have changed, but not enough in 45 years. And in fact, the language of the film is a little bit too prescient. There's things that people say, and you're supposed to go, it's like, I heard that in the news the other day. It's a little bit too heavy-handed in the writing as well. And this I didn't like. Now, yes, you can laugh at some of the scenes where Ron puts on a white accent You know, if I was on radio, I'd have to say air quotes around the white. On what he puts on this white accent, or he makes a fool multiple times of KKK Grand Wizard David Duke, real person, David Duke. These are all real people. And David Duke is played by Topher Grace from That 70s Show, TV That 70s Show. And he does it without, you know, he makes fun of him without Duke realizing it. And, you know, that's quite funny. But throughout most of the film, it's quite serious as the two detectives hang out with some trigger-happy good old boys, or as Trump calls them, very fine people. And these people would kill, you know, Ron and Flip in a half a second if they knew who they were. So, you know, that's quite serious stuff. So interesting. To me, this is just an amazing story. Unfortunately, it's heavy-handed. It's in its delivery. Now, this is John David Washington's biggest role to date, and he does a great job. You know, I remember years ago, I think it was David Letterman, when Denzel Washington was on the show, and he was talking about his son, John David. And he said he doesn't want to be an actor. He wants to be a professional football player. And he was for a short period of time. I think he was drafted into the NFL, but his career was extremely short. So I guess he went into acting. Now, I have to say, the son doesn't have the depth that his father had at that age. You know, I remember Denzel Washington from TV's St. Elsewhere. Great show. Great show. The last episode. Wow. One of the classic last episodes. So he doesn't have the depth that his father had, but he's pretty darn good, you know, I have to say. He was enjoyable to watch, he was believable in his character, and he had this beautiful Soul Train afro, you know, just, you can imagine sort of my hair looking like that, not. Now, very interestingly, Denzel Washington, the father, starred in one of Spike Lee's first features, Mo Better Blues, in 1990. And the two of them, Denzel and John, were both in Spike Lee's film Malcolm X. So the three of them have a history together. So it was very good. Now, also worth watching was Laura Harrier, she was in Spider-Man Homecoming. I think she was one of the classmates, if I remember correctly. She plays Patrice, who's Ron's social activist / love interest. I liked her. She looks like a lot like a young Lisa Bonet, who's Jason Momoa's wife. You know, it's funny. There was an article last night showing Lisa Bonet and Jason Momoa. She looks terrible. My God. I don't know what she'd say about me, but she doesn't look good. But certainly when she was in her 20s, she looked good. And that's who I think Laura Harrier looks like. So I liked her as well. So I think the performances were really solid. I really liked it. But unfortunately, the message, it was really heavy-handed, that it didn't need to be. Or maybe it did need to be. I don't know. Maybe people are stupid. Well, people are stupid, you know, but I didn't think it needed to be. So, and to me, Spike Lee really goes overboard. The final 5 minutes of the film flashes forward to 2017, where the white supremacists and the counter-protesters are clashing in the streets of Charlottesville, Virginia. He shows footage of that. He shows footage of the woman, Heather Heyer, being hit, and you know, as a result of the car ramming. You know, yes, these images are very poignant, but I don't think they needed to be in this film. It served to detract from what is an amazing story. You know, so you know, I would have gone, but you know, I have to say, you know, if we're talking about what's changed in 45 years, look at the clout that Spike Lee has in Hollywood. I think 45 years ago, he never would have got, you know, black man never would have got this film, a film like, he never would have been a director, let's put it this way, unless you're Sidney Poitier or Harry Belafonte. But, you know, look at, he not only gets to make a film of such magnitude, but he gets to make it his way. So in that respect, you know, we have made progress. The sad part is that I don't think this film is going to play down in Dixie. And I'll be surprised if it plays in, you know, it'll play in Washington, D.C., but I think few other places than that, and that's where it needs to play. So, you know, and certainly it's not going to come to Hong Kong. I don't want to say it's not. It's 99% sure it's not coming to Hong Kong for reasons that are best left unsaid. If you live here in Hong Kong, you know what those reasons are. But I'm not going to put it on video for posterity, which is quite sad. But fortunately, as I like to say, we have options these days, and most of them are legal. Well, many of them are legal. I don't know about most, but many are legal. And the film is available right now on Amazon Prime and starting on December 17th on iTunes. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it now. If you don't, you can wait till December 17th and watch it on iTunes. So I'd say even with its bleak ending, which I didn't like the ending, it's still well worth watching. Good performances, amazing story, and look, it's well directed up until the last 5 minutes, even though it does have this prescient language. So you know what, I did like the film. I would just wish it would have been better directed. So definitely BlacKkKlansman, BlacKk, Klansman. So there's the KKK in the middle, if you haven't figured that out. So well worth seeing. So check it out. So there's 2 films you can watch from the comfort of your living room without having to go spend money to go see a lousy film in the cinema. So I'll be back next week with probably, I think, I'm going to do Friday next week as well because I'm seeing a film on Thursday, so I can talk about it on Friday. And I'm going to talk about 2 films that are in the cinema. One I've already seen, which I liked, and the other one I'll see on Thursday. So I don't even know. Oh, actually, maybe 3 films because I was seeing one on Sunday, which I think opens on Thursday. I have to check the schedule. So at least 2 films for sure. And back to the cinema. All right. Have a good week. See you.